he got to fight a actual fighter now, like a fighter.
Who is somebody you can see him fighting, like
Me.
a real you?
Yeah.
Well, little man, congratulations. You got your wish. I promise you, this fight is not going the distance.
Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul are turning up the heat before their clash, and the trash talk is wild. Davis has been firing shots with his signature confidence, while Paul is clapping back with bold claims and social media antics. Their back and forth has the fans buzzing, making this fight more than just a matchup, it's a full-blown spectacle.
I'm fighting Gervonta Davis on
wow.
Netflix. Let's go. People think that he could actually beat me, and people think he could outbox me, and he's so powerful and this and that. That's what makes it a good fight. November 14th, Netflix.
Jake didn't hold back when talking about Tank. When he talked about stepping into the ring with Tank, he spun the whole thing as if it were the ultimate test that separates him from being just another entertainer. He basically said this isn't a gimmick fight anymore, and that subtle shift made the trash talk hit even harder because it felt like he was daring Tank to prove him wrong.
The time has come to get in the ring with boxers.
Exactly. Fight a real boxer. Well, how about the man himself, an undefeated world champion, knockout artist, Gervonta Tank Davis.
He brought it home by saying flat out that this fight won't go the distance. He didn't spell out exactly how or when, which leaves that sense of mystery, but the way he delivered it was enough to keep people leaning forward. By the end of it, the trash talk wasn't just about throwing insults, it was about setting the stage for a fight where someone is getting humbled, and Jake made sure to leave Tank's name hanging right in the middle of it.
I promise you, this fight is not going the distance. Someone is getting slept and humbled. The pressure is on, Gervonta, and I am beyond ready to pull off one of the greatest upsets in boxing history against an undefeated world champion. The biggest fight of
Right after all of Jake's talk, Coach Calvin brought a calmer tone. He wasn't trying to throw jokes or one-liners. Instead, he spoke like a veteran who's seen every side of the fight game. For him, the noise around the matchup doesn't matter as much as Tank's safety. He made it clear that while fans might be looking for entertainment, his job is to make sure Tank comes in prepared for the risks that come with facing a bigger man under the spotlight.
Right now, I'm just going through my journey. Got a serious fight coming up. Everybody keeps saying, oh, that, nah. Jake Paul and Tank been going at it for years, and I got to worry about his safety, you know?
When asked how this fight came together, Calvin admitted Jake knows how to grab attention, but reminded everyone that promotion doesn't erase reality. He described the matchup as a tall glass of water, which showed that he respects the size difference, but also sees the challenge as one Tank can handle. He didn't pretend to know every detail about weight or logistics, but what he does know is that Tank needs protection and focus going into this. That honesty made his words carry more weight.
Absolutely. And how did this fight come about? Because I remember Jake was at the fight with him and Lamont when Gervonta fought, and I thought it was next, right?
No, they was talking about this for years. You know,
yeah.
Tank been going back and forth for so long, and people don't understand that, you know? And one thing I can say about Jake, he's good at what he do, and he's been doing it. That's why he's where he's at. And everybody keeps saying, to be honest, this is a risk.
Calvin then turned to what makes Tank dangerous. He said people might look at Tank's smaller frame and think the power won't translate, but once he lands, that view changes fast. In his eyes, Jake won't fully understand until it happens in the ring. For Calvin, that's the difference maker. Size and height may be in Jake's corner, but raw knockout power is something you can't measure with a scale.
Fight, you understand? Anything can happen because I don't know all the logistics besides love, with weight class. There's a lot of stuff I don't know about yet. But my main thing is to keep him safe.
Absolutely. And how the weight differences are very big, 135 to heavyweight. How does Tank adapt to that weight?
You got to figure it out, man. That's why I'm so fabulous right now, you know, because this is a tall glass of water we got to drink. But I believe in my youngin', always believe in all my youngins, you know what I'm saying? But him, he's our forefront youngin', you know what I'm saying? It gives everybody else hope. you're saying that it ain't nothing that you can't do if you don't put your mind to it.
After hearing from Coach Calvin, the spotlight shifted to Coach Kenny Ellis, and he gave out that same sense of focus. When asked about Jake Paul being the naturally bigger man, Ellis didn't hesitate. He said size and height don't concern him at all. In his words, there are always multiple ways to approach a fight, and Tank will be ready to adjust. He didn't go into exact details, keeping his cards close to his chest, but his confidence was clear. For Ellis, it's not about getting caught up in numbers like weight classes, it's about strategy, and he trusts Tank has the tools to break through.
Classes, what do you think of, what are your thoughts on this fight? Who wins this fight and how?
I like the Tank team. I'm sorry, Crawford team, but right now this is a Tank show, so we're not gonna speak on that.
Oh, okay, yeah. no, definitely, man.
And just when fans thought the hype couldn't get any bigger, the fight took an unexpected turn. Originally, Jake and Gervonta were set to throw down in Atlanta at the State Farm Arena. That's where all the early buzz pointed, and fans were ready to flood the city for a historic night. But suddenly, the plan shifted. The matchup is still locked for November 14th, 2025, and still streaming live on Netflix, but now the lights will shine in Miami at the Kaseya Center. So, why the switch? Well, Georgia's commission wasn't too happy about pairing up a natural cruiserweight like Jake with a lightweight powerhouse like Tank. Instead of wrestling with red tape, MVP Promotions packed up the show and moved it to a place where the fight could go ahead without a hitch. It wasn't only the commission that wasn't happy with the fight. KSI, never one to hold back his opinions, gave his perspective on this unusual matchup. He mentioned that even before the official announcement, people had different expectations about who Tank might face, and the way the Jake Paul fight came together left him surprised. He hinted that a lot of fans buy into whatever they hear, but in his eyes, things were never quite that straightforward.
We thought it was going to be AJ against Tank. I was speaking to Eddie on the morning of the announcement. They told me that they were advanced negotiations. Gets to evening time and all of a sudden Jake Paul's fighting him.
I knew AJ and Jake was never going to happen.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought it was actually going to... Well, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like so many people just believe everything online.
But that's pretty unbelievable.
As he kept talking, KSI shifted into a broader boxing chat, pointing out how records and resumes can be misleading. He used an example from another fight, saying fans often just compare numbers without really knowing the fighter's skills. For him, Jake stepping in against Tank is not the craziest twist he's seen, but he questioned whether people really understand the risks and the matchups being made. That part of his take made it clear he's not just reacting to the headlines, he's looking at it from a deeper boxing angle.
Well, on the other hand,
I feel like I know, well, okay, how do I say it like this? Itoma versus White. I had a lot of people bet on White winning. And I'm there like, you guys don't watch boxing, do you? You just look at a record and go, oh, Dylan's fought many more people than Itoma. That record says a lot. Itoma's like 18, not 18, Itoma's 20, inexperienced, one. Like, I just knew Itoma was gonna...
Then KSI circled back to the fight at hand, and here's where his honesty stood out. He admitted he doesn't feel invested in it, describing it more like a spectacle than a proper pro contest. To him, it feels like something designed to drive numbers rather than build a legacy. He even pointed out that it won't count toward the official records, almost like an exhibition dressed up as a major event. You could tell from his tone that while he respects the buzz, it's not a fight that excites him personally.
Yes.
It's like a hybrid pro. I mean, I can't sit here and slate it because it will do numbers and we're in a game of numbers, but I'm a bit baffled by it, if I'm honest.
I mean, I honestly don't care. Just don't care. Yeah. I'm probably not gonna watch it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just Netflix just trying to get more hits in terms of the whole boxing scene, which is fair. But yeah, I just don't care. And look, it's not even on their record. It's not even on their pro record. It's basically just like a exhibition.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. They just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200 pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't gonna be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank, it's over.
And speaking of fight chatter, one guy who wasn't shy about giving his 2 cents is Mike Perry. He sized up this matchup in classic Perry fashion, blunt and straight to the point. He admitted Jake's a big dude with solid skills, but questioned whether Tank is still that same knockout machine we all remember. Perry pointed to the Lamont Roach fight, saying Tank didn't look unstoppable there, and even left people wondering where his hunger really is. In Perry's eyes, that's a huge factor, because going up against someone who's 80 to 100 pounds heavier isn't just about talent, it's about grit and love for the fight, and he's not fully convinced Tank has enough of that fire left to topple Jake.
Jake is big, Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, I mean, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and, you know, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
Now, if Perry's take had some doubt sprinkled in, Michael Bisping went all in with criticism. He didn't just see the size difference as a factor, he called it flat out bully tactics. In his eyes, the matchup shouldn't even be allowed, since Jake outweighs Tank by anywhere from 65 to 92 pounds, has nearly a foot of reach, and towers over him at 6'1" compared to Tank's 5'5". For Bisping, that's not a fight, that's a mismatch.
If I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference, almost 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, oh, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real.
And he didn't stop there. Bisping turned the spotlight on Jake's track record, saying Paul has built his career facing guys like Mike Tyson and Nate Diaz, who were either much older, past their prime, or undersized. In other words, if Jake really wanted respect as a boxer, he would be taking on fighters closer to his size and skill instead of targeting world-class names who are dramatically smaller.
I just don't understand why this fight is happening. I get it, a lot of people are going to tune in. A lot of people are going to tune in for the spectacle. They're going to see if David versus Goliath can really happen, because this fight is David versus Goliath, not Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. That would have been someone that's a bit smaller taking on Anthony Joshua. This is David versus Goliath. This, as Khabib would say,
this is #1 bullshit.
I'm telling you right now, this is embarrassing. What are you doing? I always said, when I was on Jake Paul for taking on the likes of Nate Diaz and Mike Tyson and Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren, and Ben Askren, by the way, is making a great recovery. So Ben, keep fighting hard, brother. It's good to see your little videos and your updates. It looks like he's getting much more healthy and putting the weight back on, which is tremendous to see. But he was going out there taking on non-boxers. And he was going out there taking on Mike Tyson that's pushing 60 years old, for crying out loud. But at the same time, pretending to be like this badass motherfucker.
What really stood out about Bisping's take is that he didn't even bother making a prediction on who wins. To him, this isn't about competition at all. It's about money and spectacle. He framed the whole thing as entertainment first and boxing second, leaving fans to wonder if Gervonta even has a realistic path to victory against Jake's sheer size and reach.
Gervonta Davis actually has a chance of winning. I guess there could be a path to victory. He could be light on his feet, he could dance around, he could get in and out, he could use the speed and pick him apart and all that type of jazz. But even if he was to do that, it's still a joke. It's still embarrassing. It's still absolutely laughable. I could go on all day. I've said enough. I'll leave it there. As I said,
moving from Bisping's take, Shakur Stevenson gives a more analytical and confident perspective on the fight. He stresses the size and experience gap, pointing out that Tank has been boxing his whole life, and Jake is still relatively new to the sport. Stevenson makes it clear that in his view, Jake doesn't realistically have a shot against Tank, highlighting that Tank's skill, experience, and power make him overwhelmingly favored.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way you could, any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and said he's got good power. Not even, and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch, and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. He's been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
He predicts that Tank will likely win by decision rather than knockout. Stevenson doesn't see Jake landing a decisive punch or overcoming Tank's experience and size. He emphasizes that while Jake is good for his level, boxing has tiers, and this fight clearly belongs to a higher level.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. I mean, that guy's too big. I don't think that he's just gonna knock that guy out. So I see him like outboxing him.
Could you see a realistic possibility where Tank could knock him out? Although more likely that it is, like you just said, decision.
Nah, I don't see him knocking him out, no.
Will you watch, Shakur?
Although there is a lot of tension brewing right now between Jake, Tank, and even their coaches, the buzz only makes this showdown even bigger. The UFC world feels split right down the middle, with some backing Jake's size and momentum, while others trust Tank's proven knockout power. This could turn into one of the most interesting fights since Jake took on Mike. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, because this one has everyone talking.